Blog number 53. Should you choose to accept this mission? As I grew up and experienced the sometimes wonderful and at other times completely baffling world of childhood, I quickly realized that I was not as physically skilled as the other kids. This is an area that I have already extensively covered in previous writings, so I will not revisit this subject. However, one of the ways in which I did resemble all the other kids was in my love for television. I grew up spending 3 solid hours on most Saturday mornings sitting in front of the tube in my pajamas, eating cold cereal, and watching Bugs Bunny elude Elmer Fudd, Scooby-Doo solve mysteries as he cruised around in that cool mystery van, and Johnny Quest go on all sorts of adventures. Those were the days that were ruled by TV networks, and our available choices were limited to 5 channels. But one of those channels was public broadcasting, which catered mostly to adults. So in my world, there really were only 4 channels. Well, that is until the day that I discovered that public station showed Monty Python every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Then my world expanded it, and it was back to having 5 viable channels. Really though, the other 4 networks showed most of everything that my young mind could want. From the wonderful world of Disney and Gilligan's Island to the $6 Million Man and Mission Impossible. I loved Mission Impossible, and when I wasn't pretending to be Steve Austin, a man barely alive who was rebuilt and could now pull a cement-encrusted metal pole out of the ground and throw it like a paper javelin, I was accepting the newest mission from my superiors because my team and I were the only ones who could get the job done. I was always on the lookout for the next tape recorder, the one that would self-destruct after a few seconds, or any other method that my boss would choose to relay to my instructions. These things only ever existed in my make-believe world, and I never did receive the outside summons to embark on any kind of signed missions, impossible or not. I never received any external summons, but 13 years ago at the age of 38, I did accept delivery of an internal call to a version Mission Impossible called Ataxia Impossible. Actually, I didn't so much as accept the delivery as I had it thrust upon me, and over these last few years it has been like watching a movie where the main character will be pardoned and not sent back to prison if he will just successfully perform a task that seemingly only he can perform. You know the kind of story that I'm referring to. There's always lots of action, and usually at least once or twice things will really look bleak for the main character. But in the end, everything comes together in a neat little package, and the hero gets pardoned and he lives happily ever after. I keep accepting the missions, but I never do get the pardon. An aspect of the Mission Impossible show that kept me enthralled as a kid were all the gadgets the team got to use. My favorite would have to be the rubber masks that they made. When they put on these disguises, they transformed themselves into another person. And they literally could, and they would, fool anybody. Unfortunately, the missions that I am called on to engage do not require me to do or perform the same kind of visual trickery, but just to look like my boring self. Hey, I'm a master at gaining weight, but sadly, this is not a skill that will help me complete a tough assignment. Tough ones like the cutting of my nails shaping my beard with an electric trimmer and unstable hands, or brushing my teeth with a tool that could either be used to clean my teeth or continually prod and jab my gums, and are unfortunately not currently useful to anyone else but me. It's too bad, and it makes me feel like having a snack, maybe even 3. I am considered to always be on active duty, and as such, can be presented with a mission at any time of the day or night. Usually my day is made up of dozens of operations, ranging from big to small. Just one example of a task that I have been internally called on to do in the past, and probably will be again in the future, is to jump up and answer the door. The mission is presented to me in a way that, should I accept, may lead to a stubbed toe, a bruised shoulder or hip from walking into things, or a out of control attacks and dance followed by an epic fall. I could, of course, refuse to accept these missions that are presented to me throughout the day, but to do so would mean that I would absolutely do nothing. That's not an option. I just need to think about what I am doing, move slowly and with purpose, and modify how I do things while achieving the same results. It's not ataxia impossible. It's ataxia possible. So never give up, my friends. As always, I wish you all the very best.